one fell swoop, Meliodas ends this match with Fraudrin, finally putting that monster in place. But who was really the monster at the end of this chapter? Was it the big giant white grey monster thing that had tentacles everywhere and that was 10 feet tall, willing to blow up the entire of Leonis? Or was it the little kid with the demon mark that actually was trying to help but then kind of went slightly evil? Yeah, I think I'm putting my money on both of them, although I still go a little bit more to that slightly grey tentacle monster that just in the end felt emotions. Oh, it was very hard to tell at the start of this 7 Deadly Sins chapter who honestly was the good guy or even the bad guy at this point, because Meliodas was being a very malicious piece of shit to Fraudrin. Like the fact that like having that demon transformation and just like making more of the sadistic side to him, like the fact that he was enjoying cutting up Fraudrin, it was just like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna end this all, and just the fact that he was honestly toying with him like throughout the entire time. Like he was just like, no, I am gonna mess you up. The fact that we know that Meliodas' power is like at 60,000 at this point, adding into the fact that we're not even including like his like demonic transformation that even comes greater then. It's like he probably at this point, I imagine if Meliodas goes back to the point that he was where he had like all the giant claws and he's just lost his mind, I'd imagine like Meliodas at that point is generally going to be coming into like maybe into the 100,000s at this point. I generally think that's where he's going to be ending up in this series, where that's what's going to be happening. And then the fact that where like he was talking, like Fraudrin was like, you know what, and all that, like yeah, like what happened, you know, 3,000 years ago and all that is repeating itself, like, you know, again and all that, while you was like dancing off your sweet little dreams and all that. We sat waiting, bidding our time for the revenge against the goddesses and you, and he's just like, I've been in your shoes, man, but just kept beating the living dog shit out of bro, like Fraudrin throughout the entire years. And then when you literally see this flashback of like all those years ago when he betrayed them, he was just like, why would Sir Meliodas like kill, like do everything like that? It's like he killed like Anorak and Zeno. It's like, what the hell happened? It's like, you know, why would he flee against our responsibility against like the battle of the goddesses? And it's like, why would he do that? And immediately like what we've seen with Galva like already was saying like, you know, he didn't exactly run away from the scenario and all that. Instead, he just gave his undivided attention and throw himself into something for a fight for someone he loves. Especially like what we've seen with Meliodas. That's what happened. That's what changed him. And imagine like that, like he may have like some point and all that left like, you know, the demon world and all that, and he was going to destroy it, and then somehow just ending the situation where like just humans enticed him, and then especially when he felt his love like Liz like approached him, that's where he probably changed his mind and opened himself up. Like I imagine like maybe Meliodas had like some sort of like amnesia in like some Goku like a way, and then he just somehow remembered his mission, but then he saw like how much like some humans are really kind-hearted and actually enjoyable. And then especially with Liz, when he found love in that, it's like, you know, why would I like just completely annihilate the humans off the face of the earth? And Fraudrin never had that like chance to understand that. And I think as well why Galva did that was the fact that he was like, no, I can if I go with him, I can understand this stuff. I can understand like the methods of madness with someone that's never really felt emotions like that. And the fact that like Fraudrin was just like, you know what, and all that, Sarah just provided me a bit of info on this shit and all that, a little bit of inspiration, I'm just gonna blow myself up. Like, I'm gonna take all of Leonis off the map. And it was just like, they were fine though. Like Meliodas knows that he was going to survive this. He knew from the fact that it was like no one in the perfect queue could actually be destroyed at all. It was the fact that he's just going to kill off millions of people, and alongside with Leonis, like all the innocents, it's just like, no, I'm going to destroy it. And just Meliodas' way of acting around this is like, if you want to do it, do it. I don't care. You're putting me to sleep. Do it already. I'm tired of your bitch ass. And it's just, oh, okay. Like, Meliodas, are you right? Like, you know, you don't mind hundreds of thousands of people dying, and the fact that Meliodas knew what was going to happen or predicted, like, exactly with, like, Fraudrin, the fact that he was able to do this, which is what I'm guessing, unless it's generally, that's just how, like, he is right now, where he just does not care about human life. Like, it's showing more of this side, like, old side coming back to him. And the fact that the one that stopped it all after everything was Griamore. Baby little Griamore. Little, like, shit in his pants little Griamore. Using his little spear ability to, like, unravel, like, all of, like we saw Fraudrin. And he's just like, don't kill Daddy, don't kill anybody. And they're like, what the fuck? And he's just like, release it and all. Release, like, this magic and all that Griamore. And it's like, and just, even when, like, we saw Fraudrin, he's like, get this thing off and dispel your magic now, Griamore. Be a good little boy. Like, and this is the bit where it was like Fraudrin finally understood his feelings, and he was just like, please be a good boy. And he was just like, so be it if that's the case. And he's just like, I'm not gonna kill your dad. and for the sake of that, I'm not going to kill anyone else and all that. And it's like, just do your promise. It's just like, please. It's like, yeah, I promise. Just take down the barrier. And that showed exactly why, like, you know, Fraudrin did care after a while. Like, he was in that body for so long. He saw pretty much for the most part. He saw Griamore like grow up, and that was something he actually genuinely cared for. He was like, no, like this kid, as alongside with like, you know, as much as like he saw him as well as like, you know, like with Dreyfus and all that, like he generally loved that kid, and it's just like, I can understand this love that Meliodas was like going around. It's just like, this is the one thing. I'm fine with killing everybody else at this point, but you know, I'm not gonna hurt him, and that is like, I'd be a huge hypocrite if then I finally understood what his feelings, and he just went, kill me, just get it done and get it over with. And the fact that like everyone's like, oh my god, as Meliodas like punches him with his flames and just burns and incinerates like all his top part, and it's like, Fraudrin. Now I will say I didn't enjoy the Fraudrin fight until like Meliodas arrived into it, and I am glad that they kind of gave him a little bit of a good send off, especially. Like, that's weird because I was very mixed on the fight. Like everything that I didn't care for, like the stuff that was with like the old Hendy boy, like when we seen that way purging with like the whole Zara jobs. But I generally did like this bit a lot, and it definitely did give him a lot of character. And it's like something a lot of us had suspected, that, you know, like he generally did start to care for like Jimbo and maybe even the body itself. But if that was the case, it's like, why didn't he keep him alive? And I think it was the fact that maybe one, like, you know, he couldn't stay around. He knew that for the fact. Maybe there was like some sort of like track, like they were able to trace him no matter what. He's a monster and he wouldn't be able to survive either way, like from that matter, or the fact, like, or just the fact it's like I've been beaten and just do it, Meliodas. I'm never gonna fully redeem myself, but if there's one thing and all that, just end it. So before I hurt anyone else again. That might have been like the sort of reason for it, and I generally did enjoy the chapter though, and it was a really goddamn good chapter of like sins, like finally ending off Fraudrin, who, like, you know, at the end he was still a bit of a fraud, but his feelings for Griamore wasn't. Although it was a little bit cheesy because I felt kind of bad because where I was like, oh no, like Griamore's in there. Oh no, Griamore's gonna die. Whatever we gonna do? Oh, okay, Griamore's dead. All right, you know, Meliodas clean up the mess. Like that's generally how I was. It was like, I couldn't care if Griamore died and he got incinerated in that spear. Like, that was just like, if it was someone else, like, maybe, like, even Veronica went in there with it, I care a little bit more. Or the fact that it was Griamore and alongside with, like, Meliodas in there. It's like, oh, please, you know, don't kill Meliodas. It's just like, no, don't do that, man. Like, then I wouldn't care, but it's just like, it's a little Griamore, but it still was an emotional moment. I was like, generally, I kind of want to see Griamore return because boy, he's a little bitch. Like, he's still a little bitch, and he needs to like grow up a little bit and maybe return finally. But who knows when that happens? But I really did enjoy this chapter. Overall, in all that, I would give this chapter straight up like an 8.5. I still think it's a great chapter. Maybe like the emotional value of like the whole Griamore thing wasn't as much hit me hard and all that because I'm not too big of a fan of the character, but it definitely did get some good stuff to Fraudrin and the finale of this fight. Finally ending up all this like defense on Leonis, and the fact that we still got a couple more commanders to deal with, and one of the biggest ones that, you know, was pretty much there till like day one of the series has finally been taken out, and now we've still got a couple of them left. Like, I'm pretty goddamn sure, like, you know, like Meliodas is like, you know, like brothers, I'm sure as hell they ain't dead and all that. Like, I'm pretty sure they survived that stuff, what we saw with Escanor, like, and besides, well, we still need to like see what the other characters are up to, like, alongside and all that, and a few of the others are still alive, so I'm very curious to see what's going to be happening. But clearly we've seen like Grey Road is out of commission like that, he's out of commission, Fraudrin's out of commission. I don't know if they take any like in the ants pitch is like kind of done for alongside with the vampire. I don't think that's too much, like, since this was a goddamn graphic like destruction on that. But we're gonna have to wait and see like a little bit more later on since. But really goddamn good chapter. Let me know you guys in the comment section down below what you thought of it at the end. That's all from me, so I'll catch you guys though in a bit.